Besides being a minority whip, you're also on the, if I'm not mistaken, on the Finance, Judiciary, and the Legislative Management and Transportation committees. Transportation, here in Danbury and Bethel, you represent Danbury, Bethel, New Fairfield, and Sherman. And probably all four communities depend on transportation, whether it's mass transportation by train, the highway system. Your thoughts about tolls, because this has been in the newspaper recently, you know, and there's some thoughts about legislation bringing it forward. I remember the horrific accident that we had on I-95 in Stratford there. I believe about 7 or 8 people were killed because of a truck running into several cars. Your thoughts?
Well, a complicated question. I'm opposed to tolls, but let me explain why. There's a cold reality that they're looking at tolls because they need money. They're trying to fund government, and they need to find new creative ways to find money. And so they're looking at new taxes and fees and tolls as a way to do that. I'm opposed to it in our area of Connecticut for one major reason, and that is the cold reality is that if they put tolls at exit 1 on the state line of Interstate 84, the secondary roads, which are not state roads, are going to be overrun with traffic.
Right.
That's been proven. I remember when the tolls were down in Greenwich that the side roads were always busy. That's proven. They know that from studies that the side roads will suffer. So Ridgebury Road, running from Danbury into Ridgefield, Route 22 and all the back roads into New Fairfield and Sherman, right, and I believe Joe's Hill Road and Ann Hack Road are all going to be dramatically impacted by traffic averting the tolls.
Right.
We already see that when the road is closed for an accident. So surely that's going to happen with tolls. Now, those who are proponents of tolls say, well, it's all different now because we have Easy Pass. Well, I have an Easy Pass, and there are times you still have to wait in line over one of the bridges in New York. Yes, that's true. There is technology. It makes it easier. But there's a lot of people that don't have that and have to go to the cash toll window.
There's also, you know, I want not to interrupt here, but there's also this fact of, you know, thinking about the number of commuters. I can remember when I moved to Connecticut, I had a job down in Tarrytown. And just thinking about today, going down 84, it was nothing like that, you know, 35 years ago as compared to the traffic today, but then getting on 684 and vice versa coming back into Danbury.
Well, I'd like to compare 684 at 7:45 in the morning now to when you first started going to Tarrytown.
Right.
I mean, you had 3 lanes to yourself for the most part.
Right, not anymore.
Yeah, it's a different world.
And you know, just the cost involved. I'm saying we're in an economic recession, depression, whatever you want to call it. But to impose more things upon our people who are really trying to maintain an income and maintain their jobs and taxing them more for that, I really don't find it too palatable.
Well, I must say that I oppose tolls, but you know, they need to find another way to fund the transportation fund. So if they don't get tolls, they'll probably want to add it to the gasoline tax. You know, my whole point on this budget crisis is all we're spending most of our time talking about is how do we increase taxes? That's the wrong discussion. We have to look within in government function, in government operations, and find out where are we
overspending.
Where are we overspending?
Right.
Where can we be more efficient in what we're doing? Let's face it, you know, in this tough economy, there are a lot of things that government does that we need to continue to do now more than ever. There's people that are being affected by this. But we can do it better, and we can do it less expensive. But we're not having that discussion first. We're talking about how to tax our way out of this. We can't tax our way out of this 25%
and I keep on saying,
hole in our budget.
You know, and I'm sure you agree with me, Connecticut is not a business-friendly state. And, you know, if you're going to tax more, it'll just drive more business out. I've always said about tolls, I use this as an example. Right now, I know the big trucks, the 18-wheelers, they come in and they've really taxed already for driving through the state on a mileage log basis. There's a revenue there. If you put tolls on, that's going to impact whatever goods are delivered into the state, and it comes down to the consumer. So, I agree with you. It's a bad thing. Let's continue on transportation a little bit. Locally here, what's happening with the roads? I see some improvements scheduled for Route 7 going south, the connector.
7 south from Danbury Airport to the Danbury-Ridgefield Town line is underway.
Okay.
They've awarded that contract, and they'll be out there real heavy. Right now, they're already out there working hard. That's moving along. Now, that's phase 2. So
right.
Now we're going to have a nice clean road from here to the junction with 35. And the other section of 7 to the north of us,
right.
Which is at the end of Super 7, so to speak, will be done very soon too. They had a little bit of a hold up there because of some environmental turtles.
Right,
yep.
environmental.
They found some turtles that needed attention, so they needed to build a special tunnel for the turtles.
Right.
That's being done now, and that's moving along well too. Trains. We've gotten some money now to finally do some of the signalization upgrade on the Danbury rail line from Danbury to Norwalk. And we just got word today that there's going to be some funds available to upgrade the Danbury and the Bethel train stations.
Oh.
So, they're going to have some maintenance money and try to do some work there. New Fairfield, for instance, is planning to put in a new commuter lot so they can move some of their folks by bus over to the Brewster rail line.
Okay.
And take that rail service south. So I think we're staying focused on transportation as a very high priority here. We're hopeful that the stimulus funds are going to be zeroed in on the Interstate 84 from
right.
exit 1 to Waterbury.
All right.
Specifically, exits 1 to 10 are our real problem. So we're hopeful that some of those dollars are going to come our way. We've asked for the Houstonic Valley Council of Elected Officials has
right.
prioritized projects in our region of about $240 million. So we already know which are the high priority ones, and hopefully the stimulus funds are going to be rolling our way.
That's good news, because there's so many people that utilize this Danbury line going down to Norwalk or going down to New York City itself. Now, electrification, I guess that's in the future, so I understand. I don't know, maybe that's wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's a real expensive option. Ironically, it was electrified and they took it away.
Yeah.
That's a real expensive option that I don't think we're going to see right away.
But basically what I understand there is that they're just going to smooth out the line a little bit, make it the signaling a little bit more faster, which allows us to commute a little bit faster.
And new cars.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I first moved here, there were still World War II cars running on the den.
I'll bet.
Well, unfortunately, you've got to come back again. I really enjoyed it, and I really hope that our viewers right here got a good insight to what you're doing there up in Hartford. I really appreciate what you're doing, because I know you've worked with our town officials in many capacities right here in the short term that you've been up there, and I just appreciate it very much, and I hope that the viewers have enjoyed tonight's program, and knowing that we've got a state senator from Bethel, Danbury, Sherman, and New Fairfield, right, who represents them. For I in Bethel, I'm Paul Szatkowski. Good night and God bless.